All right, guys. Oh, hey, this is on. It is my job to try to get us back on schedule. So that's what we're going to do. That is what we're going to do. Awesome. Welcome. If you are not expecting to be in a room listening to a marketing panel, then this is the time where I tell you you're in the wrong place and you can shift. Otherwise, we're going to get started. So if you guys wouldn't mind grabbing a seat, if somebody who's in the back wouldn't mind maybe pulling the doors, that would be awesome. Crowd participation. Thank you, Mr. Boswell. Starting off strong. Awesome. Well, my name is Heather McLeod. I am the Chief Growth Officer at Authority Brands, and I'm really excited to introduce you guys to this panel that we have in front of us today. I'll let them each introduce themselves and go down the line, and then I'll tell you guys a little bit about what we're going to try and focus on today. We're going to take probably 35 or 40 minutes and go through some topics as a group, and then we'll open it up to you guys for questions. So if there's a topic or something that you want to ask that we don't hit on, we will absolutely get to that. So Maddie, will you start off and just let everybody know who you are if they don't already?
Sure. Is this on?
Yes.
Okay. My name's Madeline Zook. I'm the CMO of Rolling Suds, which is a power washing franchise. We've got about 230 locations, and I work with JT over there, who's not listening to me. Just kidding. And then I'm also a franchisee of 4 different home service brands. My husband and I have about 50 units here in Philly, and then I am the founder and co-owner of 2 supplier companies. So we're just all in it. And jean jacket maker.
Lee Braun with Perspire Sauna Studio. We're an infrared sauna spa with 64 locations in about 27 states. We started in Orange County, California back in 2010, and we've seen a lot of growth in the wellness space over the last few years especially. So I'm the CEO and founder. I'm going to do my best to step back into the marketing role and help answer some questions.
Hi everyone, I'm Abby Fogel. I'm Vice President of Brand Management Communications at Unleash Brands. We are a youth enrichment platform made up of 7 brands serving moms and kids, building great kids.
Awesome. All right, so quick question for the room, show of hands. How many of you guys right now are getting the volume of leads you want at the price you want? Well, you picked the right room. Things are a little challenging right now. The market's been a little interesting, I think, for a lot of us. So our goal today is that we want to really get in the weeds on not just how to get the phone to ring more people to walk in the door, but really about what you do to maximize revenue out of the leads that you're getting and how to help your franchisees turn that into actual dollars. And sometimes that's marketing, and sometimes that's things like conversion, funnel management, pricing, frequency, thinking about retention. So we're going to hit a little bit on all of those topics today. But the first question that I'm going to ask the group, and Maddie, I'm going to start with you since you're closest to me. You got the lucky spot. Across your brand right now, what is one thing that's working really, really well that you're focused on with your franchisees?
So we are always focused on PPC. Like it has to be on. This isn't a maybe I do it, maybe I don't. You have to do it, and you have to make sure that you're either doing it internally with a great team, or you have a great supplier that knows what they're doing and they're on it and they're being proactive. That's one thing that we always focus on. Second, obviously reviews. Shout out Consumer Fusion. They do a great job helping us with that. And then third, something that is new that's coming back, which I'm sure we'll expand on later, is we actually just started cold calling again. We have a cold calling service, and our franchisees are telling us that they have more leads than they can handle, which as a marketer, I'm like, do I retire now and just end on a high note? So those are some things we're doing right now.
I'll double tap the paid search is huge for us. It's probably our number one one-to-one lead referral, like from the existing membership base type of source. So we actually did something for the first time at the start of this year, which was we had a bunch of fragmented franchisees could choose their own digital service, and we've kind of consolidated that under one house, which is Franchise Ramp, and I think Aaron is here somewhere. Thank you to Aaron for helping to organize all of that, and it's been really successful. We were able to get 100% compliance in like 3 months with every single franchise studio under Franchise Ramp, and it's been really productive.
For us, it's really using grassroots marketing as a differentiator. So we really stress to our franchisees that they have to be out in their communities, making those connections. We are dealing with their greatest asset, which is their children. And so we have to become that trusted source in their community. So really getting back out there in the community, whether they're setting up a table and a tent at a local fair, maybe they're visiting like-minded business that serve the same customer as us, revisiting that grassroots marketing and stressing that they have to become that trusted source in their community. We talk about that in our franchise development sales process with our candidates of that day in the life of the franchisee, and stressing that importance of being that community connector when you are a franchisee with Unleashed Brands. And so grassroots marketing is huge for us and our franchisees.
And I would say too, before we even get into any of this, like, you have to know your numbers. And that's a big thing with Lee now being all under one digital supplier, where we're not saying that's necessarily what you should do. But now he's going to be able to have brand benchmarks. And franchisees are always wondering, is it just me? Am I doing wrong? Am I not getting the attention? Is it my region? So now once you have those brand benchmarks, you're able to really look at the data and make data-driven decisions on where franchisees should put their money.
Before we move on to a different topic, Maddie, will you tell everybody about what you're doing with cold calling specifically? Because I bet there's a couple people who are thinking that might be interesting.
Yeah, so we actually had a franchisee go out on his own and find a supplier that was doing this. So basically what they're doing is their first email, first call. I'm not going to say the name because right now he's at capacity, but something that you could potentially try. And essentially what they're doing is they handle all of the list buying. They do residential and commercial. It's broken out into two. Right now, I've got the price down to about $1,500 a month per franchisee. They're able to opt in or opt out. And then immediately those contacts are going to go into nurture email flows, and then the franchisees will follow up themselves. So it truly is a cold calling, hey, we can power wash your house. Here's the cost. And ideally what they will do is they will book an estimate. If they're unable to book an estimate, then they will send it to the owner or the manager with like high importance. Person just wants a little bit more detail. So that's what we're doing.
Awesome. So let's flip that question around. What, if anything, have you guys moved on from? What used to be big in your marketing mix that maybe isn't working quite the way it used to? What are the things that have shifted to the bottom of the list?
So I wouldn't say that we've necessarily shifted, because in home services, I mean, we're not sexy, right? Direct mail, yard signs, door hangers, we do all the unsexy stuff. But what I will say is that we've moved away from putting incorrect accountability towards things. So how many franchisees have you guys had, show of hands, that said, Facebook doesn't work for me? I don't get leads. Leads are bad. Well, that's the reason is they're putting money into Facebook and assuming that they're going to get great quality leads. That's not what Facebook's for. The last time you went on Facebook and were like, can't wait to sign up for power washing. So essentially what I'm saying is, hey, this is for brand awareness. And if we can get some people to go to a landing page, that's great. But what Facebook is accountable for is getting those clicks, getting those impressions, and then ideally getting that search volume over to Google. So what I advise on is typically, sorry, I'm gonna be real long-winded here, but I think it's important. For Google, we recommend in home services a $2,000 a month budget. The reason being is because $2,000 with the competition and your keywords is gonna net you about a 4.5% to a 5% impression share, which means you're showing up 4 to 5 times out of every 10 searches. Anything below that, you're now showing up 1, 2, 3 times out of every 10 searches. Okay, anything above that, great, you show up even more. So what I tell our franchisees is, if you want to do Meta and you want to do the fun branding stuff, you have to make sure that your budget is at least in PPC, where we know people and the quality leads are coming from, is over $2,000. Now, in some areas where they're like, I'm not hitting my budget, PPC doesn't work. Well, no, now we know that people just aren't searching for you. So you now have to put some of that money into the brand awareness stuff to get people searching, understanding your brand. And so that's kind of the stuff that we're now coaching on, where before it was a full omni-channel, and now it's, hey, let's focus on what's actually driving revenue, and then we can optimize depending on your region.
We've almost had like a kind of inverse where we got for so long dependent on digital ads, and because we are kind of a novel business, it's a sauna studio, there's not a lot of competition for those keywords. We enjoyed really great rates. I mean, like, our intro price point is about $20, and we were getting people in for like $7-8 from the ad, and so we were like making money on our intro for years and years. And as the space gets more competition, we've had to kind of adapt, and I'm not saying that we're getting away from Meta by any means. It's still a part of the mix, but actually going back to grassroots a lot more and encouraging that, especially when starting the business and having that at the upfront. And if that franchisee is not a extroverted, go meet people, talk about their business, get really excited, they need to sub that out, because it doesn't work. And you can just see that in the numbers. They're just not getting those leads before they're opening their business. And they have to hire a manager. They have to hire a part-time person that can come and be that cheerleader for the brand and for their business before opening. So we've actually kind of flipped a lot more emphasis, especially in the pre-sales, pre-opening process, onto grassroots.
Yeah, this is more of a marketing observation I would say that I've seen, is that customers are definitely more used to and accepting of user-generated content. And so I love your branded video that you have in a professional studio that you spent a lot of hours and money on. And as a marketer, I especially love it. But as a customer and as a mom, I like hearing from other moms. And so they are definitely, more used to seeing an iPhone video that they're talking about their testimonial with their brand. For our brands especially, how the brand helped their child, how it improved them, the milestone their child may have hit. And so hearing from those other customers. And so it also doesn't feel like an intrusion on their social feed if that's where you're advertising. It's kind of also wanted. Like when I'm scrolling my feed and I see a trendy blogger that has this pair of jeans that I love, I will gladly click on that and go buy them on Amazon, because it's what I want to see. And so I think also as an emerging brand, when you have that lower budget and maybe one of your goals is to produce some really great brand videos, but you're not there right now from a budgetary standpoint, really looking into your customer base and seeing how can I use my customers to advocate for me, to showcase my brands on social media via some short clips. There's a lot of great platforms out there right now that you can take some short clips and produce many different social media versions for you with captions, with different add-ons and music. And so when you are an emerging brand, you've got that low budget, you're figuring out how do I reach my customers, how do I get them, especially to understand what value I bring to them from my business standpoint, what they will get out of coming to me as a business. I think that's definitely one thing to explore, is using your customers in that way for social ads, video ads. I mean, you can obviously then use your videos for emails, on your websites, a variety of things. But that more user-generated, more authentic content, I think is really unique right now in marketing and being more widely accepted and expected from consumers.
So Abby, I'll start with you on this next one. With everything that's happening kind of in the market and with the economy, what are you guys doing in relationship to price and promotion and helping your franchisees navigate how they should think about those two things as levers to help impact lead volume?
So I think it all goes back to the value that you can provide your customers. And so for us, we're constantly looking at what value can we provide our customers at a price point that they can afford. Like you said, the economy is tight, people's wallets are tight. Luckily for us, we are in youth enrichment and children. And so, the dollar's still going spent towards youth enrichment and further dollars typically doesn't get as pulled back as maybe, that one extra DoorDash order on a Friday night, they might stay home and cook so they can send their child to a gymnastics class, or they can spend their Saturday at an adventure park. So that is very fortunate for us, but we're constantly trying to figure out that balance of pricing for our parents and our families while providing value that they can accept and that they can expect from us as well. And so also lowering the barrier of entry to enroll in our program. So Maybe it's offering, a free registration or free enrollment to get them in the door and then really show them and sell them on the value that you can provide for them as a customer of their business. So I think it's just always constantly, the ebb and flow and the constant balance of the value and the pricing strategy, but figuring out the value that you can provide for the price point that they can afford. And then obviously we're going to talk about this later, but delivering on that value and ensuring that that customer experience is followed through.
We're a bit of a niche, as a sauna studio. There's, a growing number of them across the country, but we like to not prime the franchisee too much to concern with price per se. It is something that people are doing for their health and wellness, and there is a growing budget for that in American households, which is really encouraging. So, and along with that, there isn't too much competition at this stage. How we help, I think, guide that conversation on pricing is really, we're an appointment-based business, so who is available during our slow period from 12 to 4 p.m. in the afternoon? Is it students? Is it nurses on night shift? Is it whatever? And really targeting those people to fill those specific spots. We're fully booked in the morning, we're fully booked in the evening in a studio. You don't really want to play with the kind of list price. We don't really like to do that. It disrupts consistency in the marketing of our price point and our value. But we can play with maybe things like ClassPass, or there's some aggregators or things that can target in on these consumers that might not be able to afford to come in to do a sauna session, but instead we have these empty hour slots, and that's been a real helpful strategy for going after those maybe people that wouldn't otherwise be able to afford it.
So I'm going to flip it a little bit, because for home services there is a very small margin of discounting, right? If we discount too much with the techs and all the equipment, it's just not going to be profitable for us. So instead, what I've developed with my husband, and I've shared with a lot of people in this room, and connect with me on LinkedIn, I'm happy to share it, is this marketing revenue calculator. So what we put in there is our cost per lead, our conversion rate to estimate, our conversion rate to sale, and then how much revenue we're looking to drive. And then another item in there is our average job size. Now, we have it formulated so it will spit out, based on our cost per lead, how much we need to spend, because we need X amount of leads, X amount of estimates, and X amount of sales. The only way to maneuver that is, one, obviously get your cost per lead down, which is very difficult. Usually those are benchmarks for a reason. Or to get your average job size up. So now we're coaching our franchisees on, instead of discounting, it's how do we either get them to be a customer more frequently or purchase more from us. So instead of saying, hey, we really want to get you in, we'll do your sidewalk for free, which again, now our franchisees are hurting on their profitability. Now we're saying, hey, we're actually going to say, we're going to go, and for the jobs that we do have, we're going to try and get that average job price up. So it's almost the opposite. Like, we're trying to get more money, because at the end of the day, with the economy, the political landscape, people just aren't spending money as much right now. It's tough. So we use that calculator for them to conceptualize too. Is it truly the leads coming in? Is it the cost? Or is it your conversion rate? I had a franchisee absolutely cuss me out the other day because I don't know what I'm doing, and he doesn't have enough leads. And I'm like, buddy, you are converting at a 24%. Like, our benchmark is 55. So it doesn't matter how many leads you get in. It doesn't matter what your average job size is. We need to coach you so that you're closing more. So that's kind of how we look at pricing. That way, also, like I said, our franchisees don't feel like they're always having to take a hit with a promo. But again, we have a much different model than Lee and Abby.
I want to continue that, because we had for so long franchisees say the same thing. Oh, you're not doing enough, or the brand fund's not doing enough to get in the leads that we need to see, and that was completely missing the mark. We have a funnel of leads, you have sales conversion, and then you have keeping them, retention, and the franchise training that we had to go back. We were quite a few years into this. We had to go back and completely do training to define these stages more clearly and train way more than we thought we had to, because they were equating. They had say they had 400 leads in a month, and which is good for us. And they had a close rate of 15-20%, which is abysmal. And they were thinking, oh, I need more leads. That's what's going to make this. We need a better promotion. We need the flashy thing. And it's like, no, you need to fix your sales process. Your training, the front desk is they're not selling. And so really, like, just a big theme that we continually work on, especially with new franchisees that are new to owning a business, that maybe we're a working professional in some completely different field, is that like really defining what the issue is and drilling down into that and not conflating everything. They're so kind of overwhelmed in their new business in their first year. They're kind of conflating all the problems. Oh, my revenue isn't where I wanted, I need more leads. That's a lot of the time not the issue at all. It's really what's happening with the harder stuff, which is the person-to-person skills, the training, the management, leadership of what's going on in that studio related to sales and retention.
And then oftentimes what I tell people is like, look, I want marketing to be as accountable as possible. So we look at, impressions, clicks, leads, qualified leads, and then sales, right? If we're not getting enough impressions, there's just not enough budget, right? If it's impressions to clicks, it's a creative issue. People are not interested. If it's clicks to leads, it's a conversion issue, right? Is our form too long? Is it not loading quick enough? If it's leads to qualified leads, it's where we're doing it. Maybe I'm getting the leads, but they're coming from TikTok. TikTok doesn't want power washing, Google does, right? It's where we're doing it. And then if it's qualified leads to sales, it's a sales issue, right? So being able to break that all down and being able to diagnose where the actual issue is also going to help you as you're bringing your leads in and as you're continuing to optimize, because things are constantly changing, and in franchisee, we are the worst. We know that. We're the worst. It's never good enough, but the more data you can put behind your coaching, the better franchisees are going to be able to, like Lee said, conceptualize where the issues are and where they need to work on it.
So can we talk about that for 1 second? So I think one thing that is really exciting for me about having this specific group up here, those of you guys who know me well, I'm incredibly passionate also being in home services about funnel management and how important that is to driving revenue. So one thing that I think is maybe different brand to brand, I'd be very, very curious to hear what you guys think about all of this. Where does marketing end and operations begin? And I say that because I think very commonly, the things that we see as marketers as areas of opportunity sometimes live in a gray area where maybe the organization doesn't have someone who owns very specifically things that happen here. So Maddie, you're closest again, and you just gave the great funnel examples. So at what point does that kick over to operations, or is that all a marketing function in your mind?
So unfortunately, unlike Fran Dev marketing, it's completely melded together. So what I've found is the most helpful in my personal franchise brands, and then what we're doing at Rolling Suds, is that everyone has their local marketing plan. So it's like kind of a copy and paste workbook. Everyone has one. In one of those tabs is a coaching tab where operations will put their notes, marketing will put their notes, and while this workbook is specific to marketing, ops can go in and say, oh, okay, I'm looking at the marketing notes, this is what's happening, they're not spending enough, or they feel good, they don't feel good, and they can kind of go and figure out what the pulse is there. But I would like to say that the coaching is where it passes over. We're going to give you the creative, we're going to give you the supplier partners, we're going to make sure that the benchmarks are all working. But at the end of the day, our ops coaches aren't always the professional marketing coaches. So we do have marketing coaches on staff. So a franchisee will have a business coach and a marketing coach, and then it's their job to connect with each other. They will have the same franchisees so that they can kind of work simultaneously when it comes to the numbers. Again, what levers they have to pull. Is it marketing? Is it ops? So again, while there is no real clear-cut answer, I would like to say the coaching is where we would like to transfer it off. But at the end of the day, who is doing that coaching and what do they need to say? But anything before that is marketing, and then after it's a free-for-all. We're just fighting for our lives out here.
That's cool that you have a marketing coach and FBCs. We don't our marketing team is a little bit more, we try to insulate them as much as possible. There's so many projects, and so we do have our FBCs set up to be the total interface with our franchise business coaches with the franchisees. And then there are franchise business coaches that all kind of differentiate. We have 4, and we have 1 marketing specific. So rather than by geography, it's kind of franchise business coaches by department or by specialization. And that's been something we've been transitioning away from, kind of geography to COE, we call it, and it's like a specialization that we do, and that kind of like that person, that FBC spends that time in the marketing department for X amount of months, and then they're specialized and they can help field as much as possible, and then interfaces with our marketing managers and our marketing directors and things like that. Everything touches. I don't know. That's a really hard question. I would say that the way that we do it is just from a streamline of communication, and to make things as streamlined as possible. That it all goes through one person and then disseminates. That works sometimes. We're still figuring it out.
In our workbooks, we have like a ops meter, a marketing meter, and then a franchisee meter. And after every touch point with the franchisee, whoever touched them last, that didn't come out right, you know what I'm saying? It's red, yellow, green, right? So if ops is red and marketing is green and the franchisee is yellow, then the marketing coach knows that they have to go talk to the business coach. What's going on there? Can we help, or do we need to back off? Vice versa with the marketing as well. And the reason that we have the franchisee meter is because they can be completely in benchmarks, growing properly, but if the franchisee feels like they're in trouble, they feel like they're not doing well, that's going to disseminate into their business, their team, their relationships. And so we know that we need to take care of that because nothing else is going to become in the green until the franchisee feels confident.
Is that internal only, or is that internal and franchisee facing? What is
So
it a dashboard?
So it should be a dashboard. I haven't automated it yet. It's a spreadsheet, and so it'll have the franchisee information, our benchmarks, their marketing budgets, their plans, their local marketing trackers, everything they have, and that coaching sheet is actually in there for the franchisee to see, because I believe that if we're talking about your business, it should be full transparency. If you don't feel good, I'm not going to pretend you feel good. And if we know that your ops or your marketing is in the red, you better know that too. So we do allow that for the franchisee to look at, but not the whole system, just obviously theirs.
Yeah, just bringing it back to funnel management, I would say that marketing does own the customer journey, at least for us, and plays a big part of it. You are the brand keepers, you're the messaging keepers, you are the primary person that communicates with that customer and making sure that they get the correct touch points at the correct time. And so our marketing function oversees our CRM, our customers, our marketing, Salesforce, customer journey, as far as all the different emails they get from initially coming in to reaching out to us, and then even beyond, that's also after that first visit to one of our locations. What do they get after that? What do they get when it's the month of their child's birthday? How do we bring them back into our locations? And so I think that there is definitely a coaching component that goes over into ops and making sure your FBCs are trained on that. But at least at our company, from a customer journey standpoint, marketing does own that. And I think even before that, before they get in the funnel, making sure that it's as easy as possible for people to work with you. I mean, I see this in my daily life of just when I try to work with someone to come out to my house to do whatever. It's if I have to email you, call you, and submit a form on your website, this is never going to come to fruition. So just making sure that before they even get into that funnel, that you're making it as easy as possible for them to work with you. And so it shouldn't take me 15 minutes to fill out a form on your site. And if I can book a call with you on your site, I'm probably going to pick you over someone that I have to call, be on hold, and then speak to 50 different people about what I want. So just even thinking about that process before you even get into the funnel, I think is really important and often overlooked because we often tell our franchisees that moms who are our customers are not comparing us to other adventure parks. They're actually comparing us to the last business they worked with, and for a lot of moms, it's probably Amazon. And so if I can go to Amazon and one click a purchase and spend $1,000 in 30 seconds. I'm also expecting that when I work with your business, it's as easy to work with you as that. And so oftentimes I think we're so focused on like comparing us to like competitors, whereas like their customers actually comparing you to the last business they interacted with. And if it's so easy to work with them, I get frustrated because it's not as easy to work with you. So really think about before they're even in your funnel, the process to even get into your funnel, making sure that you've got that cleaned up. Because that's also going to help your conversion rate, because if that is not cleaned up, your conversion rate is probably not, probably not very high there. So, but from a funnel standpoint, making sure that customer journey is outlined, thinking in your customer's shoes, what would I want to know about this company before I book them to come out to my house, before I go to their location and take my kid there. And so I think that customer journey is really important. We also have regional marketing like FBCs that work with our franchisees that oversee, a cohort in a regional area that can help with them with their local marketing needs. And so I think that's really important too. Obviously, establishing your franchise business coaches from an operations and even financial performance review, but then have those marketing liaisons that can also cascade the messages from corporate, because you might send some really pretty email out to your franchisees about a new marketing campaign, and they may or may not read that. So having your regional marketing, liaisons to really help cascade those messages of what's important, where they need to prioritize their time, and then being that resource that they can come to for questions about marketing in their local market is important.
Yeah, I think that comment on customer journey is super powerful, and I would also challenge everyone in here. You might think that your process is easy, but when's the last time you actually went through it yourself? Right? Because I think a lot of us think that it's really easy, and that that's something to focus on. But I would say if you haven't actually done it yourself with frequency, that's something you need to keep your eye on, right? Because it's super easy. We've all experienced it. It's super easy for phone numbers to move providers, and all of a sudden you've got 3 different messages telling people to hit 1, hit 3, talk to this person, play this recording again, and it's a mess, right? So I would challenge everybody, don't just think it's good, make sure it's good. Test
Do
it.
that for your hiring ads too.
For everything. Test everything.
And super basic, and everyone here probably knows, but every field that you add on a digital input, like you're going to just picture 10, 15% less people responding. So be really minimalist in what you're asking for people. Like, what do you really need to get out of them on a lead form? It shouldn't be a full form. You just need their name and phone number and maybe email.
You don't ask for their social security?
No,
That's weird.
no. Franchisees, yes, but not
Okay, so I want to do maybe a couple questions I'll call kind of rapid fire. So I have 3 questions I want to kind of just get everybody's really succinct thoughts on. Everybody who comes to a session, hopefully everybody wants to leave with like a couple good nuggets that you can take as you're like, oh, that was my aha that I wrote down that I stole. So we're going to try and give you guys a couple of those with our last few minutes of questions, and then we'll do some Q&A. So since the topic is emerging, right, and emerging franchisors, for everybody who's new in the room, what's one thing that you guys wish you would have known earlier in the stage of your business so that you could have done something differently, or maybe something that went really, really right early on, but a specific piece of advice for an emerging franchisor in marketing? Abby, you want to start?
Yeah, I would just say focus on the basics. So marketing can be so many things, and as you start to sell franchises, your franchisees are going to be asking for a lot of different things all at once, and they all want something different. And so really focusing on the basics, making sure you have that high quality website, that your funnel, your pre-funnel is really cleaned up and organized. And so just doing a few things really, really well and making it as simple as possible for your franchisees to also execute. They're going to be asking for Facebook and TikTok and Instagram and Pinterest and every other platform that's out there. But if you can get really good at the basics of marketing for your business and make it as turnkey as possible for your franchisees, like that will be so successful and so important. So my key thing is just like really focusing on the basics, focus on like 1 or 2 things that you can get really good at your corporate to bring in new customers that you can train your franchisees to do, and don't try to do too many things at once because they're just going to be so spread thin, and you're probably going to be doing all of them subpar versus doing 1 to 3 really well.
I'd say that was exactly what I was going to share. We got on EOS a few years into our franchising journey, and I would go back and love to do that from the start. Just provides a lot of clarity on what the priorities are and how to actually, work to get those things done.
Lee, will you tell everybody what EOS is in case they don't know?
It's Entrepreneurial Operating System. People are like, oh, it's a software. It's not a software. It's a kind of a mode of operating for entrepreneurs. And it's really helpful because a lot of you in this room are probably founders. And
We're just power washing. That's fine.
yeah. And maybe, I'm speaking, this is maybe more of a projection, but maybe flightier, maybe thinking that anything could be done in a day, maybe thinking that you could get 12 things done this week. Being really clear about the 3 things that you're going to get done in a quarter and getting those done really well is so much more powerful. And having the confidence to tell franchisees, hey, look, we can't get to that widget even this quarter. But what we're going to do is we're going to meet as a leadership team in 2 months, and we're going to keep track of that on our sheet, and we will discuss it. And if that is the 3 to 5 things that we need to get done that quarter, we're going to do it, and thank you for the feedback. So getting really like black and white so that they know how you're making decisions and how things queue up, but also not overcommitting that you can't get all those things done, especially with an emerging size team. So kind of just to piggyback on what Abby was saying.
I would say hire people with franchise experience or partner with people who have franchise experience. I will not partner with a supplier who has not worked with franchises before, because as much as we can say that we're going to automate, franchising is a personal business, and I can't say enough good things about Consumer Fusion, but they do like automation and the white glove support. Like, you need to be supporting your franchisees. You can't do it alone. And having expertise in someone who's been in franchising before and seen other systems is invaluable as you're growing. So definitely don't try to be the guinea pig, and don't try to, go find the next big thing, because the things that work in franchising clearly work.
What do you guys think is the most overlooked thing in marketing that someone could do or change to drive revenue quickly?
Obviously local marketing, but I think it's overlooked in a way where we just tell franchisees, oh, go hang more yard signs, go be the mayor of your community. We tell these franchisees they don't have to be marketers, and then we go tell them to be marketers. Like, let's be real. I don't even hang door hangers, and I probably should in one of our brands. So what I'd like to say is, give them a form, and I, again, have a template, happy to share with everyone in this room, where they're tracking their hours, they're tracking how much they're spending, and then they can put goals towards exact avenues of their local marketing, whether it's events or, like I said, door hanging or B&I meetings, and then you can start to really coach to what they should be doing in local marketing, with the idea being that you want to get to the formula of my time doing X is going to equal X in revenue, or my cost in X is going to equal X in revenue. Because again, that local marketing is what the franchisees need to do. And when they're able to kind of frame it that way, then it's less ambiguous of, they telling me to go and walk around and wear my shirt. No, I'm telling you to go do these 5 things if you want to make this amount of money. And so that's been super helpful.
This might be super niche, but farmers markets for our business, it was like totally overlooked for the longest time. It seemed very manual, and it, like, especially in the pre-sales process, has made a huge difference. Like, getting 50 to 100 qualified people on a clipboard in a list in your CRM in 2 hours of work, that's some really great ROI and deeper conversations than you can have over a website form. So we've done a little bit of an about face. We've gone back to grassroots a lot harder, and specifically for our health and wellness business, that's where our people are. They're active. They're out in the market. They're buying fresh vegetables and fruit, and like it just really works. So I guess to apply it generally is like, where are your people spending their time, and where can you get them in a slow walking, leisurely environment that you can have a good conversation, because still one-on-one connection is king.
Yeah, that's great. I would just go back to keeping it simple, so making it as turnkey as possible. We can have all of these initiatives in the queue, but if it's not as easy as possible for your franchisees to execute, it's just going to sit in an internet somewhere and no one's ever going to look at it. And so making it as easy as possible. So if we talk about grassroots marketing and going to an event, going to a farmer's market, having clear-cut pictures. If they're supposed to be there with a tent and a table, what does that look like? Where do I order the table cover? Where do I order the tent? Like, I've just got so many questions. So making it as easy as possible, lay out that plan for them. This is what you should expect as far as time, customers, but also what it should look like. And here's where you order all the things, and making that process as easy as possible. So really just making it as turnkey as possible for your franchisees to execute their local marketing so that they can focus on delivering that customer experience is essential. And so whether you're going to do a playbook, have talking points for them, again, they're not marketers, and then we do expect them to go out in their community and speak marketing language. And so how do I talk about the brand? What should I say? Having those key talking points as well for them. Again, just think about, I'm doing this for the first time. How would I do it? What questions would I have if I was not in my shoes as the marketer of the company, but I was a franchisee who needed to go execute on this initiative that I'm asking them to do? So just clearly laying out for them what your expectation is. Again, they're going out and representing your brand, so it's also in your best interest to outline it, because otherwise, if your colors are, I don't know, blue and pink, and you didn't tell them to wear blue and pink, and they just showed up in orange, and then you show up and you're like, why are you wearing orange? Like, well, you didn't tell me to wear blue and pink. So making it sounds very elementary, but you really need to lay it out for them if that's your expectation of them, and making it just as easy as possible to execute.
Awesome. Okay, last question, and then we'll take a couple from the group if we have a few minutes. The golden nugget that you guys want to leave people with as one thing to take away. So I'll give one so you guys can have a second to think, because golden nugget, valuable, right? Big one. My advice would be, make sure your marketing team is, in my world, home services, right? Listening to phone calls. You can learn a lot just by listening to what happens on the phone. So it helps with customer journey. It helps with understanding what the experience is. So that's my one piece of advice. All good marketers should, if you're in a phone-based booking environment, listen to phone calls. Maddie?
Mine would be that there is no silver bullet in marketing. I know that's what everyone's here to find, and the bad news is that cost per leads are going to continue to go up. And so we need to be honest with our franchisees and our teams and letting them know that this is what's happening. Google has the monopoly. We have to be there, and we have to make sure that we're adjusting our business models to account for that. And while there is no silver bullet, there are standard models that work. And like I said, in franchising, this is a huge franchise family. Don't be afraid to ask your competitor what they're doing. Don't be afraid to ask other people what they're doing, to make sure that you're on the right track, because you're not alone. Again, there's no silver bullet, and costs are going up, and that's okay. That's okay.
Yeah, you got to do the work. I think on a general note, we kind of applied this to the sales funnel, but on a general note, I think new franchisees need a lot of coaching on what is the issue. And there's a lot of things as a new business owner to be frustrated about, to be mad at corporate office about, to be not happy with their team about, and frustrations abound. But is it a frustration or is it an issue? Issues can be solved. You can take accountability. You can dive in. You can diagnose and solve and see your business grow. Frustrations are things like, you know, I think the new colors of the logo, or I have an opinion about that. That's a frustration. Like that, we're going to file that away under, you know, nothing that you can influence, and nothing that it doesn't need to be influenced because it's not an issue. So like this concept of issue training, and then specifically applying that to what area of the business needs the most help, like, and really, you know, shoring up the weakest parts so that the funnel can remain strong.
One thing that I think is really important is spending to your goal, not where you're currently at. So if you have 100 customers today and you're spending marketing dollars for that 100 customers, that's not going to get you to 200 customers. So if you want to be at 200 customers, you've got to up your spend, and you've got to spend for wherever you want to be. And I think that's really important for your franchisees and for your marketing team to be talking about with your franchisees, is that if these are your goals, this is what you've got to spend to get there, not what you're spending today at the current level of your business, and really helping them get there, helping them understand that and helping them reach their goals. So just like there's no silver bullet, marketing is never finished. And so we're always constantly, you got that one milestone, you got this, set of customers that you wanted, and now to get the next ones, what is going to be your effort to get there?
I have a bonus one.
Oh, I love a bonus.
Set up a ticketing system. I consult with a lot of franchisors, and it's wild. Sometimes they take texts, they take Teams messages from like things franchisees need, and then they complain that they can't track it. So get a ticketing system, something like a Fresh Desk, super cheap. I tell our franchisees, submit a ticket. They only have to send an email. It goes into our queue, and then we're able to track it and respond to it. And trust me, it does a lot for accountability and ease of mind. And then also tell your franchisees when it's okay to text you, call you, or email. Like, what constitutes a call after hours? A death, something like that. What constitutes a text? Hey, like, the truck is broken and I don't know what to do. What constitutes an email? I don't like our logo and I hate you, Lee. Yeah, like, shoot me an email, submit a ticket, So setting those expectations, because the franchisees will follow that. If they call me on a Friday at 9:30 and I'm deep into a Friday night, I'm like, guys, if no one's dead, I told you. So it helps, trust me.
That's a great note to end on, isn't it? So in the spirit of getting us back on schedule, I feel like as the child of 2 Air Force parents, it is my job to be a stickler on timing and also to maybe get you guys into your next spot sooner. So we are right up against time. Can we just give the panel just a round of applause for their time?